It's all set fair though. The sun is shining again on the Magic Weekend, and this is the way the two sides will line up. Saints have got Shannon McDonald at fullback. Then it's Tommy Makinson, Matty Fleming, Jordan Turner and Adam Swift. Travis Burns is alongside John Wilkin, who is the skipper. The forwards, Alex Walmsley, James Roby, Kyle Moore, Mark Flanagan, Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook and Josh Jones. And awaiting their chance on the bench, Mossy Massoy, Luke Thompson, Greg Richards and Andre Savelio. And the coach is Kieran Cunningham. For Warrington, this is the way they line up. They welcome back their skipper Joel Monaghan. Ratchford is the fullback. Then it's Monaghan on the wing alongside Chris Bridge, Ryan Atkins and Gene Ormsby. Declan Patton and Richie Myler in the halves. The forwards, Chris Hill, Darryl Clark and Ashton Sims. Ben Curry, Ben Westwood, Ben Harrison. Three big Bens at the back of the scrum with Roy Asataji, James Laithwaite, Brad Dwyer and George King waiting the nod from coach Tony Smith. So this St Helens dressing room, here they are hoping to get their first win on neutral territory against Warrington for the very first time. And Warrington, you know, no team has got a better Magic record than them. They've won 6 of 8 fixtures at this event, including the last 3 at Manchester's Etihad Stadium. Warrington here in numbers, Saints likewise. I've noticed jerseys, we've all noticed jerseys of the two clubs in evidence here in Newcastle over the past 2 days, and now the moment that they have been waiting for. Warrington, they've redressed the balance slightly over the recent past, but they've won just 9 of 51 encounters with St Helens. But is today going to be a glorious day for them, or will the champions prevail, with John Wilkin again continuing in his makeshift half-back role? Colourful scene again. Lots of anticipation for this match, and none more so, I'm sure, involving John Wilkin, who's waiting to lead the St Helens team out.
Right, lads.
Joel Monaghan makes a return. He's going to lead the team out. Phil Clark has done a significant change for Warrington.
What I'm waiting to see from Warrington, walks out with the side. I'm waiting to see a Warrington team that attacks like I thought they could a couple of seasons ago. Last week in the game, they scored lots of points, but it was really made up along the way. And I don't really rate Warrington's chances this season until they come up with a significant win. This could be the chance for them to do it today.
And Steve, one of the big clashes of this match, the two hookers, Roby against Clark.
Sure is. It's something that I've been looking forward for quite some time, in regard to the fact both have won the Man of Steel and both are outstanding players. James Roby, we want to put one over Darryl Clark, who is desperate to make sure that he gets himself involved in the internationals at the end of the year. James Roby has not given up the opportunity. He still wants to play at international level. This should be the big showdown between the two best hookers in Super League.
Okay, which is billed as the biggest match of the second day of the Magic, and it'll have to go a bit to beat the drama, the controversy and the talking points we've seen in the second half of the first. Saints against Warrington then. Brian Carney is upstairs now alongside Barry and Terry, and first voice we'll hear is that of Rob Stone.
Thanks, Eddie. It's champions against challengers, it's Saints against Warrington, it's two of the Super League's superpowers looking to close the gap on the league leading Leeds Rhinos, who were beaten yesterday by Wigan. The Rhinos have 23 points, Saints have 20, and Warrington, after an erratic first 15 games, have 16. But if the Wolves were to shake the Saints here, they would really start to close the gap on the top 4. The top 8, the key finishing positions in the first 23 rounds. After that, only the final 4 will make the semi-finals as the race for Old Trafford hots up. Our referee is Richard Silverwood this afternoon here at St James's Park, where the weather has brightened up for this big match between the Wolves and the Saints. When they met earlier on in the season at Langtry Park, St Helens won 32-24. That was flattering to Warrington, who scored a couple of late tries which were really meaningless. I wonder if Saints can reassert their authority this afternoon. What do you reckon, Terry O'Connor?
I think it's going to be a fabulous game. I think Richard Silva, we talked about him being the referee in this encounter. He'll have a big influence on the speed of the game, and the ruck dictates the speed of the rugby league. And if you look at both hookers, and Steve O's talked about one man of steel and the current man of steel in Darryl Clark, and the other one in James Roby, you've got two very intelligent players. But this is where it's going to be won. The likes of Alex Walmsley ramping up. You know, he's made most carries, most metres, and the third in Super League for tackle ball, so he's a fabulous player.
Saints with first use then, running from right to left in their famous white with the red V, and Warrington in blue this afternoon. And Saints have first chance to get first crack at the Warrington Wolves. The time was back in the early days of Super League, there were three certainties: death, taxes, and that St Helens would beat Warrington in Super League. Never got close to beating the Saints, but then on a breakthrough win in 2011, Warrington have got a pretty decent record now in recent meetings against St Helens. They've won 8 of the last 13 Super League clashes as Ratchford lets that drift over the dead ball line, and the Wolves will get to set up with a 20-metre restart. Gene Ormsby takes it up. Ormsby has been in fantastic form, 9 tries in his last 7 games, including that breathtakingly spectacular score against Salford, where he defied the laws of physics and gravity to get the ball down in the corner.
You know, if you look at Warrington, and Phil Clark was saying that he's not been convinced from this year, I thought they showed a lot of character last week when they played against Salford. They blew them away, but they lost Miley, they lost Harrison in the first half, and then they lost Chris Hill, who put his hand back up in the second half to go back on the pitch when they were under pressure. I think Tony Smith would have been very proud of the players that were on show, and like Ashton Sims, I talked about Alex Walmsley. Well, I've been very impressed with this man, because he's turned up in this country into Super League and he's ready to play.
Well, it's been a mystifying year for Warrington, really, because in and amongst the mediocre, there was 2 magnificent performances against Leeds, who they defeated home and away. And Leeds with only 4 defeats so far this season, half of those 4 to the Warrington Wolves, who've then gone on to struggle against teams much lower in the table. Travis Burns dropping the ball off, still really waiting to form a permanent partnership with his old sparring partner Luke Walsh, who's played just 5 games this season, is out again with a ankle problem, just had some minor surgery, should be back in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Here's Stefan Ratchford for the Warrington Wolves. He has Monaghan alongside him, making a return from injury himself, and Ratchford threatened dangerously to offload the ball under a 3-man tackle, but in the end allows himself to play the ball and find Monaghan.
This is a big part of Saints' game, especially this year. You're kicking early, they like to try and kick it into the corner. Kicked on the third play, and then this is where they really put the opposition under pressure. Just have a little look at the line speed. They get off the line, they get numbers in, they make that ruck slow, and they take the danger away from Darryl Clark.
Well, Eddie was pointing out before kick-off that Warrington have this superb Magic Weekend record, nobody better, 6 wins in 8 Magic stagings, 3 out of 3 at the Etihad, last 2 against St Helens, and they've taken to the cleaners a couple of times, and these scenarios and these settings seem to suit the Warrington Wolves. Big pitch, sunny day, dry surface now with the rain having abated. Oh goodness me, as Patton gets that ball away, and he was absolutely clattered by Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook, and he got the ball away in the end and bounces up like a rubber ball, and Warrington now muscling their way forward.
Well, it's Warrington's turn to put a good kick in and try and put some pressure while they're defending. Going back to the kicking game, as you mentioned, how important, how crucial it will be. Everybody will concede that John Wilkin isn't best suited. They don't get the best out of him at Saints when they're playing at 6 or at 7, but what you will get is that left foot. He can put it high, he can put it as high as he wants, and he's also got a powerful long kicking game as well.
Now Wilkie returning from a ban, missed the last game. That was a long ball from Travis Burns, which allowed Tommy Makinson to get some space, and Makinson threatens to burst through a challenge.
He might be the most influential man today, Rod. We see the kick coming here now from Travis Burns. Now he's going to shift it on. I'll come back to Makinson after this.
There's the kick, straight to Stefan Ratchford and back to Brian Carney.
Yeah, I think if England was being picked tomorrow, I think Tommy Makinson would be a shoe-in for it. He's had to fill in a full-back sometimes. They've now got Shannon McDonald in there. He's in absolutely outstanding form. He can goal kick as well, returns the ball brilliantly. very skillful player. Sometimes you think he's wasted out on the wing and might be better at full-back, but I think he might have a large say in who wins this game today.
11 tries this season for Makinson, a great try scorer, and more particularly a scorer of great tries. Some of the most acrobatic tries in Super League history have been scored by the wonderfully acrobatic Tommy Makinson.
He's like a stuntman, isn't he? Just 23 years of age. He's played 122 games in his career. And another fabulous young talent that we've got coming through.
Yeah, the master of the... How did he do that try? Here's Chris Hill charging forward for the Warrington Wolves. He had an injury last week, as you alluded to, Terry, and, you know, tremendous to see him putting his hand up once more. Here's the kick. Well, Joel Monaghan has spilled it forward. Not many better under the high ball than Joel Monaghan, but this time he couldn't quite reel it in.
Do you know, you play on the big stage, and you talked about Chris Hill being injured last week. Yeah, there'll be other players as well. Joel Monaghan goes to take that ball, he can't quite bring it in, but both sides will be carrying players into this game that are injured. They just keep putting it on because it's a fabulous occasion. You don't get many opportunities during the year to play on the big stage, and this is a big stage. And remember Paul Wellens last year, after the post-match interview? Well, he criticised his teammates, and all of a sudden that seemed to inspire them towards the grand final.
Well, it was a savage interview from Wellens. Here's some super hands, and Makinson is released. Tommy Makinson charges forward. Oh, it's batted back. A try saver if ever there was one from Ben Curry. Ben Curry got in between Makinson and the support player, and it was a crucial interjection from the second rower.
Well, Ben Curry's getting some praise from all different areas. Tony Smith, Steve McNamara, everybody calling for this man to play on the biggest stage, but Tommy Makinson, Brian's special for this match, does everything right. Do you think he should have backed himself there, Brian?
Well, it would have been interesting, Barry. He was trying to pull off a difficult pass, and you're right to compliment Curry getting in the way. Makinson, you're right, he's a man that could finish in the corner. We've seen it done many times, but they get a second bite of the cherry now. See what the Wolves can come up with in defence.
Shannon McDonald was looking to get on the inside in his second spell with Saints, and a brief spell as an emergency fullback last year, which was stopped at 3 games when he suffered a broken jaw. Back this year as Saints continue to have injury problems, with the likes of Lomax still missing. And here's Burns, that's spilled, it'll be picked up by Warrington, it'll be picked up by Richard Myler, and Myler scampers away to the 40-metre line before he's knocked down. And I wonders whether Saints will rue that missed opportunity, or if you prefer, that superb piece of defensive play from Ben Curry. Ratchford's ball finds the ground before it's picked up on the far side by Gene Ormsby. Ormsby with McCarthy Scarsbrook trying to reel him in. Ormsby just takes the tackle and is knocked down by Jones and by Carla Moore.
And wasn't Gene Ormsby brilliant last week as well? We talked about the acrobatic Tommy Makinson, but he scored a hat-trick against Salford with some tremendous efforts, but both teams making mistakes, and there's going to be nerves as well. These teams would have watched what happened yesterday, watched the full 3 games, then they're on the second game today, so there's going to be some nerves. There's a lot at stake in this game.
Ryan Atkins, who by his own admission has not had the best of years for the Warrington Wolves, 19 tries in all competitions last year, just 3 so far this season. We're around about halfway through the season. Ratchford is ankle tapped. McCarthy Scarsbrook comes in to effect the stop. Ratchford slow to get up. Curry, Patton puts boot to ball. Monaghan will try and get there. They'll try and shepherd him out of play. This is the last tackle. Monaghan prods it forward with the left boot. Adam Swift picks it up. Monaghan misses the tackle in goal. Swift gets away from another man and another and gets up to the 10-metre line.
Oh, beautiful work. Adam Swift needs to keep his nerve. He's under pressure from Warrington. It's a good kick, good regather from Joel Monaghan and Adam Swift. I think some really, really exciting wingers and some talented players on the flanks in Super League these days.
Absolutely. And a rich vein of try scoring for Swift as well. 8 tries last 4 games. Roby hammers that. That is a very good kick by James Roby from dummy half, and it forces Ratchford back to his own 10-metre line. And then Ormsby says, let me have a run at them. Ormsby goes into some heavy traffic. 20 metres out.
Again, Rod, it's on the 3rd tackle, kicking into the corner, the big white line that's coming up, pressuring the opposition.
There's a Saints player down while he was making the tackle. I think he got his head in the wrong way. I'm struggling to see who it is.
Yeah, he's spot on, Barry. It's
not Roby, is it?
James Roby.
This could be a disaster for Saints. He has his head in the wrong way and wears a thigh from Gene Ormsby.
Have a looking, guys, all right.
Yeah, Richard Silverwood has quite properly stopped play to allow Roby to get some attention. 2007 Man of Steel, and Kieran Cunningham will be rather anxious. Roby, another man who's had injury problems in the last couple of years. So many of St Helens key players have had injuries over the last year or so. We mentioned Lomax, Walsh, Roby, Wilkin.
All the key players, all the big money signings, all the big contracts, who dictate who's going to win the game by how many points. And for James Roby to be leaving the pitch now with a concussion injury, obviously a big loss for Saints.
Well, Roby walks off, and well, await confirmation from Angela on the sideline, but you'd have to say that's a pretty fair chance that that's going to be a concussion check for James Roby. And well, the first defeat of the season in the Super League was at Hull KR. Roby came off injured in that game, and he really is a highly influential operator.
It could be your game changer. He's that influential. Barry's right to reference it. Here we go. Penalty here for the Warrington Wolves and possession for them. But that could be the game changer on 8 minutes. James Roby heading down the tunnel. If he doesn't reappear on the field, he will go away, get assessed. The medical staff of the St Helens side will not take any chances with him. Here we go.
Ratchford, Stefan Ratchford scores the opening try of the match. Stefan Ratchford joining the line from fullback, gets his 5th Super League try of the season. Perfect running line from the Wolves fullback, and he's gliding in the corner to touchdown.
Well, he's so elusive, isn't he, Stefan Ratchford? Another player who's got so much time on the ball, but he's just got to hit a real hard line here. And what he always does, he turns up. Well, here's the penalty from Burns on Curry. You've got to make sure you're strong on Ben Curry, one of the best talents knocking around Super League. The youngster, the little tap play, the little pass, the soft hands from that man Ben Curry, who was awarded the penalty. He attracts the players, and the reason why Ben Curry attracts players is because he's so good. And as soon as Alex Walmsley makes the decision to sink in to try and stop Ben Curry, that's when the nice little passes onto that man.
And a lovely bit of deception as well from Ben Curry. Everybody thinks it's 1 in or 2 in to set the field position, so you can have a look, and the big shift play will come from that. But Ben Curry, we might just give a little bit of info, a bit of a nod and a wink to Stefan Ratchford and say, come with me, mate. And it's a short tip on. And after he scored the try, Stefan Ratchford does the joining Jack salute.
Well, Ratchford has many talents and many skills, but by his own admission, he wouldn't claim to be the most accurate goalkeeper in Super League. It has been a problem for the Warrington Wolves. Chris Bridge has had a stab at it. Gareth O'Brien is not playing today also, but turning 4s into 6, particularly in playoff matches and cup ties, could be crucial. Ratchford, can he turn his own 4 into 6 here from way out on that far touchline? We saw Danny Brough land a touchline conversion for Huddersfield with the last kick of the match to win a draw for Huddersfield against Catalan not long ago. Missed it again, so the Wolves lead by 4-0. Ratchford's try goes unconverted.
Well, Barry's right. On so many occasions, penalties run to a certain pattern, and this isn't it. The decision by Ben Curry to tip on to Stefan Ratchford has caught the St Helens defence unawares. Recall yesterday in the Hull FC Hull KR game, a tap penalty. Danny Houghton and Gareth Ellis confusing Hull Kingston Rovers defence off a tap. You're asking questions of players that are not expecting you to come straight back at them. On that occasion, St Helens got caught out by some smart Warrington Wolves play.
Well, given Ratchford's talent and versatility, a surprise really, an eyebrow raiser that he only has 1 international cap. We'll be looking to add to that in the autumn.
I think his strength is his weakness. He can play that many positions that he's been accused of not nailing down well. I love to watch him at fullback. I think the freedom that he has while he's at fullback really suits his game, but we've already debated the great fullbacks that England have at their disposal. Zach Hardacre, who was good yesterday, and Sam Tompkins, who's on his way back to this competition.
Yeah, Ratchford a master of many trades, but of course you need to be a grandmaster of your trade to get into the international side. Ashton Sims, this man-mountain Fijian, the former North Queensland cowboy, the big gun of the Warrington pack, charging forward. Darryl Clark, Chris Hill. Chris Hill is rarely put into reverse and keeps moving forward, going through the gears. Clark once more, Richard Myler to Ratchford to Joel Monaghan. Monaghan comes inside, one man but not inside Adam Swift, and Joel plays the ball 5 metres short. Now Ben Westwood swats up a couple of challenges, throws off one of those SBW offloads, and then it's collected on the floor by Stefan Ratchford. Monaghan comes in at dummy half for the final play in this sequence for the Warrington Wolves. Tony Smith's team lead by 4-0 as Myler floats a kick towards the goal line. Good distance on it. It'll be grounded in goal. A question for Richard Silverwood to decide exactly what happened there. And he,
I'm going drop out.
not entirely sure, I think, of what exactly happened. Whether Warrington knocked on, whether Saints then grounded it in goal, and the referee wants to have a little look exactly what happened, Stuart.
The field play decision, so we've got 2 looks to see what happens. He's gone with the goal line dropout. He wants to see that there's no knock on by Warrington in the first place, which doesn't look like there is. Oh, it's very difficult to tell, but he's had his 2 looks. Can the video referees decide from that? I would stick with a goal line dropout.
It would seem the likelihood, wouldn't it? That was what Richard Silverwood initially believed had happened.
Last tackle, hand over.
Well, they've decided it was a knock-on, so we've got a handover.
Well, there you are then. Phil Bentham and George Stokes are watching the TV pictures that we're watching here.
Well, I must say it comes off Ben Curry's right hand, is it? Stuart, when you have a look at that again?
Possibly.
I'm coming to the conclusion, mate, I have no idea what a knock-on is these days.
I mean, these days.
Well, Saints got the ball in hand, that's all that really matters, and they'll start moving away from their own red zone. They haven't really had anything since that initial chance when Makerson made the break and couldn't get the ball inside to Shannon McDonnell. But this will help them a little bit now because they've got a penalty inside their own half, and their next set will start inside Wolves territory.
Well, I think this is the first time that Saints have had the ball since James Roby went off. Of course they'll miss him, but what he does at the play of the ball, he decides who gets the ball. So be interested to see who takes that responsibility. We've already said that John Wilkins and Travis Burns, they're probably playing with 1 pivot.
I think it's going to fall down to Mark Flanagan. Well, he's in at dummy half. He played stand-off last year in the grand final.
You're right.
Against Wigan, so very talented player. Can play a number of positions.
Well, the grand final, of course, remembered for Ben Flowers sending off right at the start of the piece, but really also ought to be remembered for the way that St Helens won the grand final without any halfbacks. But John Wilkin didn't play in that game either. They were missing everybody by that stage.
There's a mistake. John Wilkin makes the mistake. Mark Flanagan going in at 9, son of the former Great Britain and Oldham hooker Terry Flanagan. I'm sure he'll have a smile on his face watching his son play at 9.
Well, John Wilkin was after Kylie Moore to drop back inside, come under him, and then he was caught in 2 man. Should he pass the ball, should he not? No matter who plays for Saints, Saints' game over the last 20 years has been based around how quick they play the ball. Whether it be Kieran Cunningham, who's the current coach, or whether it be James Roby, they go from dummy half, they congregate like an amateur side, but play off speed.
Well, Kieran Cunningham, Super League's most inexperienced coach, with, well, having played, coached 17 Super League matches, of which he's won 11, against the most experienced today, Tony Smith, coaching his 452nd Super League match
Good
for
line
Warrington,
speed.
Huddersfield and Leeds.
Wait for the goal.
Alex Walmsley right off the line, trying to stop and prevent Ben Harrison getting any more momentum up. Good shot from the big fella.
Well, Warrington have got some momentum in this attack because Atkins has got it out to Gene Ormsby, and they need 3 men to muscle up on Ormsby. Atkins comes in to direct the traffic.
Oh,
Well, this time Ashton Sims is knocked backwards in the tackle, but still managed to get it back into first gear and then second, and make a couple of second effort meters for the Warrington Wolves. Now Myler taking the line on. Myler crashing into Jones and to Wilkin, and takes Warrington to within 12 metres as the last tackle is indicated. Ratchford to Patton. Patton strokes him forward left-footed. This will be a try. That's a try to Ben Harrison. Ben Harrison read the kick through from Patton absolutely perfectly. Richard Silverwood wants to consult with the video ref. He believes it's a try. So does Ben Harrison, and Warrington look like they've gone 8-0 up.
All I want to do is check whether the player's onside on the chase. Nothing wrong with the grounding. It's that reverse kick. Confused the referee as well as to where he came from. But he's fine, he's behind. Collects the ball correctly and grounds it correctly. They'll just check the grounding. Again, no problem with that. Catches the ball cleanly and grounds it correctly. That'll be a try.
This is excellent play. Ben Harrison actually asked for this kick. You could see that the pattern goes one way. He drags a couple of players out to the line. Ben Harrison just runs straight and hard. Good pick up as well. Pulls it in with both hands.
He drags the fullback as well, Tez, by motioning over to the big side and bringing it back. The fullback's out of position. Ben Harrison gets the try.
Ben Harrison's first try of this Super League season. Warrington 8-0 up and it'll soon become 10.
Well, watch Shannon McDonald organise his troops in defence. He got his numbers absolutely right on the short side. And after he did that, after he numbered off his defenders, he proceeded to move over and cover what he thought would be a kick to the long side. It's the brilliance of the kick that catches out the fullback. He's positioned on the inside of Patton, which is where you'd want him to be, but he did not expect a reverse kick. That man Ben Harrison did. It's brilliance from the boot of Patton. I wouldn't really criticise Shannon McDonald too much, and of course Ben Harrison's ability to catch the ball and ground it is also a massive factor in the scoring of that try.
Well, about 2 months ago, no one outside Warrington had even heard of Declan Patton. He made his debut against Wakefield in that 80-0 drubbing, and has played the last 7 games, only turned 20 last week, and suddenly, out of nowhere, is becoming a key man in this Warrington Wolves season and their attempt to get back into the top 4 and start another challenge for Old Trafford. Ratchford has missed again. Well, to go back to it, when you come to the playoffs or cup ties or cup finals or grand finals, if you can't turn 4 into 6 often enough, it could be very costly.
You need to be knocking those over.
Never mind the playoffs.
This is the outball. This is the outline from Declan Patton that pulls Shannon McDonald over. Yep, the kick was brilliant. The chase was brilliant from Ben Harrison, but it was the initial outline that interests Shannon McDonald.
My point was, Barry, that in playoff games and cup finals, they're more likely to be low scoring, and so every 2 is liable to be more crucial. But you're absolutely right. That could be costly today. Never mind in September, October.
Your point is a good one, and there's a mistake from the kick-off. You've credited him, Brian. You've given him some praise, and he's made a bit of a boo-boo there on the back line.
Just have a look there, Phil. Warrington are disputing.
Yeah, he's caught it in the field of play, or in the in-goal area, and then stepped back over the line.
But look at the way that Chris Hill was positioned then. That was his ball all day, because he knew that he touches that ball, they get the ball back on halfway. Have a little look here. Look, he's got his foot louder. He's got his foot outside of the field of play. He's trying to push him out the way to get the ball.
Patton may not have a career as a tightrope walker in later life. He can't get that balancing act right, and it's handed some Helens some initiative here.
Well, going back to the kicks and the missed conversions, he used to play for a coach and he used to tell me that those conversions are worth half a try. And we saw in the game before how crucial one of Scott Giroux's conversions, or the fact that he didn't get it, how costly it was for the Dragons.
Indeed, that was a horrible shank from Stephen Ratchford. They've even threatened the uprights. So 8-0 Warrington, both tries unconverted. This, well, I mean, it's an absolute snap hook, isn't it? Nowhere near. Anyway, see how costly it is come full time and the final analysis on this game. Saints looking to close back this 8-0 deficit here. They've only been down here really once. That was that line break by Makinson, not finished off when the interception came from Ben Curry for the possible pass to McDonald. Here now is Wilkins, steps onto his left foot, no time at all, click charge down, as is Warrington's won't. The best charges down of kicks in the Super League. It's always been their MO, and this time it pays dividends as they get possession back in decent field position.
Well, this is a hurried kick, but again it's good defence from Warrington, who are getting off the line. They're putting them under pressure. But John Wilkins talked about, when he interviewed him after a game recently, he talked about that Saints need to start games better. Well, it's another game that they've started. They've not been as composed, they've not been as good as Warrington. That's why they've conceded 2 tries.
Clark to Sims to Myler to Ratchford. Warrington moving the ball quite sweetly.
It looks
going
good,
over the halfway line.
It looks good, but it hasn't done much to the defensive line of Kieran Cunningham, St Helens. They looked intact, they looked in control, and that kick pressure possibly has led to Richie Myler having half a glimpse at 2 players coming towards him.
Yeah, Myler's fumble. It's back to your question of what's a knock-on.
On the line, guys.
I've already told you I have no idea what a knocking on is these days. What do you think, Stuart?
So a knock-on is if you knock the ball towards your opponent's line, and I think probably again you'll see that the ball
that's a knock-on
behind him.
Yes, that's what I suspected. Anyway, it's been blown by the referee, and Saints get the ball back as they're making another interchange here. Saints.
Sizable figures come on in the number 8 jersey, Rod.
Yes, Mossy Masoi. Another straight appearance for Big Mossy. I think this is his 47th straight Super League start, and playing in the position he does in the front row. That takes some doing with the battering you take up there, all the knocks the bumps and bruises, just carries on steamrolling on, the big man. Wilkin with a right-footed kick this time. Ratchford has missed that completely. Oh my goodness, that is a howler from Stefan Ratchford, and it's ended up as a try for St Helens. It was the unorthodox kick from John Wilkin that did the damage. Ratchford missed it completely, and Louis McCarthy-Starbrook rumbled onto it to touchdown.
Well, you've got to make sure, we talked about it yesterday, whenever there's a good kick, you've got to push really hard, you've got to chase, and you've got to make it into a better kick. And this is what Louis McCarthy does. This is the knock-on from Richie Myler, which gives the field position to Saints. And as soon as Saints get in this field position, you can see that this is a better kick. There's a ricochet yet from Ben Curry, but the man that's pushing up, the man that's aware of the danger is Louis McCarthy. The kick, the ricochet, and who's pushing up yet again, as he does every game that he plays. He works so hard, Louis McCarthy, doesn't he?
Well, the agility he shows to collect that ball, the hand-eye coordination he's got to have to collect it, because the rugby league ball the rugby league ball can bounce in any direction, as we saw before he collected it, but the skill and agility he showed to pick it up, first class from the big man.
James Roby back into the fray for St Helens, so a double boost for Saints and a double whammy for Warrington. In the twinkling of an eye, 6 points to Saints, providing Makinson can nail this, and their talisman hooker back on the field. So Warrington's lead reduced to just 2 by LMS's try and the conversion from Makinson. As they say, Roby back on there. As the tide turned, I wonder.
Well, you can be made to look very ordinary with the bounce of a ball. Barry referred to it. And the easy thing is to criticise Stefan Ratchford and say he should have picked that up, but once it hits the ground off a ricochet, as it did on that occasion, it's very difficult to judge exactly where it's going to go, and on that occasion it fell into the hands of the attacking Louis McCarthy-Scarsburg.
It did a vicious Shane Warne leg break, didn't it? It was just, very difficult to handle. It was difficult to pick in the air, that's for sure.
Well, I mentioned hand-eye coordination. I don't think you're born with it, but I think you can develop it and get better during sessions, during training sessions during a week. Players might do their individual hand-eye coordination and try and test using a tennis ball or something like that, but you're right, Brian, you can't legislate for that.
The irregular shape of the ball means it really can't bounce any direction.
Warrington looking for a third straight Magic Weekend win over Saints. The last two have been real towelings handed out to Saints, 48-22 in 2013 and 41-24 last year. Made a super start, Warrington, with 2 unconverted tries. Another charge down here, and this time it works against Warrington because Saints get another set, and the rumbling figure of Basoy charges into Warrington territory, and off the back of it, off the quick play the ball, James Roby is there. Josh Jones knocked down in centre field, 18 metres out. Penalty blown, chance to level the scores. Should Kieran Cunningham opt for the 2 points? He scratches his chin behind us.
Yeah, you take the 2. You take the 2. It's hurried, haste, trying to play the ball, Josh Jones, but a charge down gave the big fella. Now, as a big man, I've been in this position, I'm thinking, will somebody please tackle me before I run too far?
He's 23 stone, is Mossy Masoi. He's absolutely a beast of a man. And this is Saints at the best. As soon as he gets down, you can see players lose collision, then James Roby's out from dummy half. That's what generates that speed I was talking about earlier on that leads to this field position.
Well, Makinson now lining up a possible match-tying penalty, and, well, like Warrington, Saints have had their trouble with goal-kicking this season. Luke Walsh would be the first-choice goal-kicker if he was in one piece and playing, and presumably if his ankle and leg were all 100% in operation. But Makinson, the deputy, with a 77% rate, that pretty neat and tidy after a sticky start goal kicking wise this season. Makinson looks to level and does just that. So Warrington lead 2 tries to 1, but on the scoreboard it's 8 apiece.
Well, Kieran Cunningham's going to be very happy, and Tony Smith, well, he knows that there's 2 tries to 1, but they failed to convert, and that's exactly what Tommy Makinson has done. He's had 2 chances to go for 2 points, and he's kicked both of them.
Well, in this opening 25 minutes here at St James's Park in Newcastle, we've really seen Warrington's season all over. It's just a complete and utter mystery what they might do. You would not want to try and make a living trying to bet on what Warrington might do next, because it's just a mystery, really. And they've started very brightly, scored 2 good tries, suddenly made a couple of mistakes, and the match is all square again in a game really which they've dominated in most facets of the game. They're only drawing.
Well, you want the game to be in the balance right the way up to 80 minutes, don't you?
Well, not if you're Tony Smith, probably you don't, Terry, do you?
Well, not if you're Kieran Cunningham either. Well, a bit of fisticuffs then was it?
Was
Ashton
a bit
Sims
afters,
and
yeah.
Kyle Lamore.
Yeah, there was a bit of afters. Ashton Sims, you've already talked about him, Tez. He's an ever-present for Warrington this year. He's durable, and he's come to play. Puts as much effort as he can into the minutes he's on the pitch, and I think that's a bit of professionalism there from Sims. He gets on with his job, turns round and decides what he has to do next.
A little bit of sparring going on, and now the runaway truck Masoi is parked up on the halfway line as Saints now suddenly buoyed by the try and then the conversion and penalty to tie the score, and the return of Roby, looking a lot more confident, going about their business with a little bit of a swagger now. St Helens, monstrous kick collected by Ormsby, who then is collected by Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. Coming up later on though, one more Magic Weekend match, Castleford versus Wakefield, to bring the curtain down on the Magic Weekend 2015, the 9th staging of the event. Can Wakefield finally stop the rot, or will Castleford avenge their opening weekend defeat? Does Warrington get a penalty?
Well, Saints, they have Warrington exactly where they want them. They're the most penalised team in the competition, and a lot of those penalties that they give away is because of what they do, getting off the line, trying to intimidate the opposition, working extra hard at the other end of the pitch away from their try line. But it needs to be a disciplined online chase.
Draw earlier today between Huddersfield and Catalan Dragons. Huddersfield led 16-0, but still needed a touchline conversion of Maine McGilvery's last-minute try by Danny Brough to earn a share of the spoils. Warrington can go level on points in the table with Huddersfield should they win this game. Huddersfield currently sitting in 4th spot. Saints in 2nd, defending here as Chris Hill steps inside. Managed to shrug off one challenge, but not the second. Masoi again is in there in the all-enveloping challenge, and Darryl Clark comes in to direct the traffic with a couple of tackles left in this sequence. Myler, Patton to Ryan Atkins, and that's a try for Warrington. Ryan Atkins has been short on tries this season, but he wasn't short on scoring there. It was a good, well-worked move by Warrington. The half-backs combined and found enough space for Atkins to just muscle his way over the line for the Wolves' 3rd try.
And Richard Silverwood happy that there was no obstruction in the build-up to that try. There was a lot of numbers, a lot of Warrington players just hitting some holes, and that man Ryan Atkins does it. And this is the penalty that gives that yet again field position to the opposition. Warrington, well, when they have the opportunities again at the line, you can see the Saints player sinking on the dummy runner. Just a couple of lead runners running through, and it's Travis Burns that makes the decision that he's going to hit the lead runner. He makes the mistake in defence, and then there's opportunities out wide because there's space left. Good line, strong line, and carries McDonald over the try line.
Well, Ryan Atkins is extending an extraordinary sequence, as you see there. This is the 7th Magic Weekend now that he's scored at for either Wakefield or the Warrington Wolves, and no one else can match that record in terms of scoring at different Magic Weekend festivals. Remarkable.
Yep, all came about, Rod, with mismatching in defence. St Helens were caught with 6, I believe, on the left-hand side of defence, and hence their right edge was looking outnumbered and stretched, and Warrington Wolves putting on a smart move. Well, it was too much for the St Helens defence. If you don't get your numbering right, you're going to make one side of your defence look pretty ordinary, and it happened on that occasion. It wasn't really the fault of the right-hand side that it was scored, more the people that took a rest on the left-hand side.
Change of kicker. Ratchford gets the Shepherd's crook. Bridge with the best percentage kicking record in Super League, 1 out of 1. But again, not the most reliable. I'm sure even he'd admit that, but that's a good one from Chris Bridge. Makes it 2 out of 2 for the season. He was kicking in the Cup tie at Dewsbury a couple of weeks ago, missed a few there, but no problems for Chris Bridge. Well struck conversion, and Warrington go 6 in front again at 14-8. This the try from the referee's perspective. Atkins getting the touchdown.
Well, Brian did a good job of explaining. I'm sure Wellesley will when he gets to analyse at half-time. But there were enough people in the frame to look after that man and prevent him from getting the ball down, and Shannon McDonald couldn't stop him from doing so. 6 points to the Wolves.
Clock ticking round to the half-hour mark here. entertaining stuff. In the sunshine now at St James's Park. A few showers forecast for later, but at the moment the big crowd basking in the sunshine, the Warrington fans enjoying what they're watching as their side look for their 7th Magic Weekend win. And after all their trials and tribulations and what's been an ordinary season by Warrington's standards, if they win this game, they'll only be 5 points off the top of the Super League and still very much a threat, and still in the Challenge Cup with a home tie against Championship leaders Lee to come up as well. It might actually all come up smelling of roses for Warrington come the final analysis.
We look at both of these sides and they've both featured, or one of the sides have either featured in the last 9 grand finals, but they've never played each other. Could this year be the year of?
That outcome remains possible. That's out on the full. That's a poor kick from Patton. He overcooked it. You don't have to get it wrong by very much to be heavily penalised, because now they're coming back, 40 metres? He just took a little bit off that. They'd have been packing the scrum deep in Saints territory. As it is now, the turnover becomes 35 from their own line.
And it was kick pressure from Saints, hard from the inside, making it difficult. Kicking from the left side of the pitch for a right footer.
Well, it is asking a lot. We expect a lot, but asking for a 20-year-old to turn from Declan Patton to General Patton overnight is not an easy task for the young man, and he has Richard Marner alongside him to help marshal the troops for Warrington. Here's McDonald, Shannon McDonald, once of Hull KR, once of Hull FC. Ben Harrison takes him to ground. Harrison scoring his first try of the season earlier on in this contest. Saints knocking on the door for the match levelling score. They've levelled once, can they level again? Not on this occasion. Ball is spilt by Saints, by Flanagan. It'll be the knock on, it'll be the scrum pack down.
Well, they were given an invitation, but just again losing the ball at the line here. There was a Warrington player, I think it's Chris Bridge. The pass from John Wilkin, and Chris Bridge just does enough to put Mark Flanagan off, who has his eyes on the Warrington player. And again, it's just another opportunity. Kieran Cunningham will be sending down a message. Just let's play with a bit more composure when we get near Warrington's line.
And so many times we see that play unfold where it's lead runners and it goes behind, and they're trying to create on the edge of everything a 2v1 or a 3v2. But what Saints are doing is they're testing the honesty of Warrington and giving it to the front runner, the lead runner, the front door runner.
Warrington by 6 here as they look for what would be a 3rd consecutive win. They haven't managed to win 3 games on the trot all season. In fact, they haven't won 3 on the trot in all competitions since way back last summer. So they've been inconsistent, to say the very least. It's the strangest of seasons for the Warrington Wolves. Here's Harrison rumbling forward inside Saints territory. Last tackle then in this sequence. What have Patton and Myler got up their sleeve this time? High one from Richard Myler into the sunshine. Not the easiest ball to handle, and it is handled very well by Tommy Makins. He did well there because he had 4 Warrington Wolves converging on him as the ball came down.
He's such a good player, isn't he? Scoring tries, the kick returns, taking those high balls under pressure, and also knocking over a couple of conversions as well. That's quality.
But there's an indicator there. If Saints don't put pressure on us, they did on the previous one with Dec Patton, if they've got time and think time and space, Warrington can pressure Saints.
Well, the art of ignoring what must have sounded like a herd of elephants coming towards him whilst concentrating on the football is a difficult one to master. Ratsford comes scampering across to this near touchline to collect the bouncing kick. Ratsford is being confronted by a wall of 4 St Helens tacklers. Josh Jones was the first to get to the Warrington fullback. Quick play the ball though, did well, and now Joel Monaghan looks at a little scoops and takes Warrington to 20 metres away from their own line as they manage to get themselves reorganised again off the back of that good St Helens kick. Harrison, well, a ball that was into heavy traffic. Gene Ormsby still managed to collect it before he was manhandled by Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook, and now Darryl Clark. Patton and Ben Curry, who's made that try-saving intervention earlier on in the piece when it was still scoreless, but apart from that, it's been kept quiet by St Helens, and not many have kept Ben Curry quiet this season. One of the standout performances of the year from the Warrington Wolves. Now, this is an injury here.
Mossy Massoy coming in.
George King?
Yeah, 3rd man in. They're just going to have a look at this because Mossy's come in, flying in. 3rd man, just keep an eye on. That's the one they're going to have a look at. Stuart?
Well, there's there's not really anything wrong with that, because he's actually making the tackle in the direction that the joint should bend, if you like. So he hasn't put any undue pressure on, so I think that'll be fine, and that's obviously their view too.
Good ball movement from Warrington, Rod. They're moving these St Helens forwards around. I've seen Mossy is doing side to side, and that's going to take a lot of energy out of him. Although Warrington aren't going forward, that kick's a little too long. Mossy comes off now, probably because of that. They're moving the big forwards around, shifting them.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he's done quite a stint there. And this is something that you've made quite clear many times, Brian, about the change of the interchange rule. If they reduce the interchange, that really negates the influence of someone like Mossy Massoy, doesn't it?
Well, I'm a believer in reducing the interchange and trying to get a bit more out of the big guys in them. I know you are looking at me now, but you two at different stages in your career, Barry, when you were under 8s, and Terry, for most of your career, you guys were able to do 80 minutes.
But you know, the more you're out there, the more that you're playing under pressure. As said, put themselves under pressure.
Westwood's picked up a loose pass and he's got it inside to Chris Bridge, and Bridge is going for the line, and Saints have had to get some desperate defending done. Ben Westwood picked up the loose ball, had the presence of mind to flip it inside to a quicker man. That's a risky pass. Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook, who really has been absolutely everywhere, Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook. It's been like a rash. Offside, this time he was out of the traps too quickly. False start by LMS. It'll be a penalty to Warrington. Tony Smith never won to kick penalties, but this would put them in front from 8 instead of 6, and this time even Tony Smith has turned conservative and wants just the 2 points to edge them more than a converted try in front.
Well, he knew his side were in trouble here at this point. There was possibly a little bit too much time on that tackle on Chris Bridge as well. So Saints got away with it the first time. Here we see the mistake. It goes behind John Wilkin. Ben Westwood, dexterity and agility on show from the big fella, and Chris Bridge is tackled by 2 Saints players. Jordan Turner's one of them. Tony Smith communicating with his sideline, I think gesturing, let's get the 2 points, let's keep that scoreboard ticking.
It wasn't that clear. It was more like a man trying to land a plane with semaphore, or maybe just letting the players know via tic-tac that their odds of winning the grand final have just been cut. I'm not sure what he was gesturing there. Anyway, Chris Bridge saw it as a gesture that it's a 2-point play.
Louis!
Should get this.
Cheers, pal.
A couple of misses early on in the piece from Stephen Ratchford, but Bridge nailed the first one, and this one less tricky than that. So you'd expect him to extend the Wolves' advantage, which he does. Nonchalance, and the Wolves lead by 8 off the back of that penalty goal from Chris Bridge.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? From one end of the pitch to the other, and then you can see it in the 2 points from the penalty. And it was un-Saints like that. Normally clean, crisp passes. The pass going down, and the first to react were those Warrington players. The Warrington fans will be very happy. In front on the scoreboard, 16 points to 8, and Saints have it all to do here.
Stay on!
Saints, so they made that flying start to the season, which was derailed by the defeat at Hull Kingston Rovers, and a sticky patch. They've now lost 5 league games, won 4 out of 9 after that flying start. Saints lose again. They'll stay or end the weekend in 3rd spot behind their arch rivals, the Wigan Warriors, who had that very dominant victory over the Leeds Rhinos yesterday. So Sean Wayne, who was smiling at the end of that, will be even happier if he can end the weekend ahead of the great rivals from up the road.
Well, Saints need some possession, they need some decent position, and when they get that position they need to create those chances. And
knock on here, Tez.
Yeah,
it is indeed.
The 3rd man in comes firing in.
Well, a bit of bluffing from Ben Harrison, going to play the ball.
Play to the whistle, Rod, play to the whistle.
Well, this is that position, isn't it, that they need?
Well, it's exactly what they need, Terry, isn't it? Especially with the clock ticking down here, 2 minutes 20 to go, first half here. Chance for Saints to strike here and get back into it. I don't think anyone could really argue that Warrington aren't good value for their lead, which currently stands at 8 points, but that won't count for very much if Saints score again.
They thoroughly deserve it. Obviously missed a couple of conversions as well, like we've already talked about, so it could be even more. 20 points to 8 on the scoreboard, but you look at Saints now.
Wait, let's go in.
They've got that position, and Saints over the years, when they get up here, this is where they're normally good. Everyone seems to get excited. You just need to see a bit more from Saints in this game.
Good time to strike for the champions, the 6 times Super League champions. Reel Warrington in just before the half-time interval, and maybe just Give them something to think about in the dressing sheds at half-time. John Wilkin looked to step inside. Ben Westwood enveloped him. The assistant, Chris Bridge, is standing over his man like a prize fighter who's just knocked his man to the canvas instead of retreating to the neutral corner, and it will be a penalty to St Helens. Now, would you kick that with any minute to go?
Well, do you know what, Rod? I think I would have.
Yes.
I would have kicked that and then you just one converted try away.
Yeah.
Back on the line.
So they must score in this set. If they back themselves, they need to come up with the points here.
It wasn't a guaranteed to, was it, Terry? I'm with you, but it wasn't a guaranteed to. It was missable from where it was. It was longish range.
But it's an opportunity for points. Throw them in the bag.
James Roby back on the field after that early concussion scare for Saints as the clock moves into the final minute of the first half. Chris Hill trying to slow Saints down at the play of the ball. Roby was involved once more. Travis Burns drops a pass off as Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook looks for his second try of the afternoon. He's got the only Saints try of the day so far. Cunningham and Long look on anxiously, wondering if their side is going to produce something. Shannon McDonald flips out a pass. Swift comes inside Ransford and the Wolves muscle up and push him into touch. Good goal line defence from Warrington, saves the day and ensures they will go in at half-time with an 8-point buffer.
Well, top defence, when the ball goes away from you, players will talk about shutting the game. Look at that. There's 5 players in attendance, in and around the ball carrier, and do enough to take him out of the field of play. So, should have gone for the 2 points. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, Rod.
Isn't it just? As the siren goes for half-time, and that near miss is the end of the first half action. Warrington have deserved their lead. 2 tries from Ratchford and Harrison, 1 for Saints from Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook, but it's the Wolves in front of the break by 16 points to 8.
Yes, Warrington are amongst the best. They are magic at the magic. 6 from 8 victories at this event in the past, which means that the champions have it all to do in the second half if they're going to come back from this.